You have to be authentic. Just be authentic. Did you see my baby mama dance? I mean, stop it. That's the job.
Let's stop treating this as just internet noise. And if the mainstream media keep refusing to cover this story, it will go away. The evidence that Meghan Markle did not carry Archie or Lilibet is stacking up in public view, and the part that makes it truly despicable is how she looked Oprah in the face and claimed the royal family withheld a title from her son because of the color of his skin, when she knew damn well that was a lie. Today we're walking through the moments that refuse to die, the ones that keep coming back louder every time someone tries to bury them. Everything's alleged and for entertainment purposes. In the Oprah interview, Meghan said there were concerns and conversations about how dark Archie's skin might be, and that this was why he wasn't given a prince title. That was never the rule. Under the 1917 letters patent, only the children of the sovereign and the grandchildren of the sovereign in the male line automatically get HRH and princess status. Archie was a great-grandson. He was never entitled at birth. The only way those children get the titles is when Charles becomes king. Meghan knew this. Harry knew this. The palace knew this. Yet she still framed a clear succession rule as racism against her black child on the biggest platform in the world. That was a calculated character assassination of an entire family, while she was allegedly already planning the next chapter with a surrogate. Before I forget, like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss out on new videos. Now back to the mess. Look at the photos side by side. In January 2019, she's supposedly 6 months pregnant, and the bump is huge. 2 months later, right before maternity leave, it's smaller. Then comes the low-class, trashy hospital twerk. A woman supposedly days away from delivery or just after, dancing with a high triangular-shaped bump that doesn't move like a real third trimester belly. Multiple women who have actually been pregnant have said the same thing. That bump behaves like a prop. Add the fact that her chest never changed, no swelling, no water weight, no I'm about to drop posture, just a flat upper body and a bump that appears and disappears on demand. And Harry's own words in 2019, 2 maximum, said before either child arrived, almost like the number was already decided. Then Lilibet, multiple sources, including Paula M. and Lady Colin Campbell, citing people in official U.S. positions, have now said Lilibet was born via surrogate in Colorado and flown to California by private jet under NDAs. The birth certificate area code that keeps circulating is 105, Colorado, not the California code. Whether that certificate is the final legal version or an informational copy, the inconsistency is sitting there in public view. And still, 0 unstaged photos of either child with Meghan during the supposed pregnancies that would shut this conversation down forever. Here's the part that explains how they thought they could pull this off. UK succession law historically required an heir to be of the body of the relevant parent. In other words, the child actually had to come from the mother's body. Modern practice accepts birth certificates at face value under the rule of law. There is no current statutory mechanism that forces DNA testing or medical disclosure to confirm biological parentage. That's the loophole they relied on. A birth certificate with the right names is treated as enough for now. But let's be crystal clear about the power that still sits with the Crown and Parliament. The King can request Parliament to act. Parliament holds ultimate constitutional authority over the line of succession. Under British law, royal heirs are still expected to be born of the body to inherit titles and places in the succession. Individuals born via surrogacy are legally excluded from succession and princely status. That rule has never been repealed. It has just been left untested, which means if the evidence ever becomes impossible to ignore, the mechanism to remove them from the line of succession still exists. It just requires the political will to use it. And look at how the palace actually behaved in real time. When Archie was born in 2019, there was a documented mess of delays, denials, and excuses. A senior PR person working with the Sussexes had promised the media would be alerted immediately once labor started. Instead, there was a long delay. The official labor announcement only came after the birth had already happened. Even more telling. Between the labor announcement and the official confirmation, palace press officers were still telling people the baby had not been born when it already had. Then came the email failure excuse. You could have just picked up the phone. One former mainstream journalist who was inside that story has said it plainly. Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth. It doesn't even matter at that point whether you believe the pregnancy was real, a surrogate, or a moon bump. The lying and the institutional silence were real. So do you honestly believe the British royal family With access to security services, medical household staff, and every palace employee who ever walked past Meghan, simply never asked questions, they refused the Queen's own doctors for Archie. The birth announcements used unusual wording. There was visible hesitation around titles and placement in the line of succession. And when the moment came to simply tell the truth about the timing of the birth, they chose the cover-up instead. Why? Because once you open that door, you cannot close it without a constitutional nightmare. So they looked the other way. They let the birth certificate stand. They let the titles eventually be granted after Charles became king. That is not ignorance, that is institutional silence, and silence is a choice. The evidence is no longer a whisper. No, we will not be quiet on the creek. The evidence is getting real loud and cannot be ignored much longer. Because who but Meghan walked around with moon bumps that defy physics, timelines that don't add up, birth records with red flags, a global racism claim that was factually false from the start, a legal loophole that made the deception possible, and a constitutional power that still exists if anyone ever decides to use it. Meghan Markle bet that no one would dig this deep. She was wrong, and the saxophone is getting louder. If you know, you know. Drop the palace new in the comments if you're done pretending this is just conspiracy. And if this whole saga has you looking at the toxic dynamics in your own life, the lies, the image over truth, the performance, go grab Finding Your Inner Ally. Link is right below. Stop performing, start healing. I'll see you in the next one.
Even the kids. There is no scientific way whatsoever that those kids have blonde hair and blue eyes from your genes. They don't have it. Meghan. And your ex-husband Trevor, which you ditched him in the most god-awful way. Look at the Trevor interview. Google, if it hasn't been scrubbed from the internet, it exists out there. He said it, not me. Okay?